Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the membership side, or maybe welcome for the very first time. I'm sort of suspecting this video or this shorts I'm going to make for this video to maybe attract a lot of new members, just because this video is going to be about one of the most common limiting beliefs, and it's also one of the things you as my audience bring up the most of the time. So I figured it was in its place that we are going to chat a little bit about that today. And we are talking about the fear of aging and like the fear of expiring as a woman, or the fear of ending up alone. Honestly, this entire fear comes with so many, like, it's a cluster of sub beliefs, so it's not like we're going to be able to cover all of that in just one video, so I'm not even going to try. It's probably something we're going to circle back to so many times, so I am just going to talk freely, and then at some point we'll just end the video. And also, repetition is usually what's needed for any sort of like significant change or dropping of any type of fear or stuff like that, so probably something we're going to have to get back to many times. But today we are going to get into it a little bit. We're gonna get into big fears like that as like a whole, as like a belief system. So we're gonna look at it from a little bit of like a spiritual place first, and then whatever we need to do in other videos we're gonna see at that point. But today we're gonna start from completely from scratch. So when it comes to fears like that, which, by the way, first of all, it's really good that you have identified it as a fear that you need or want to get rid of. That's sort of like the first really big step, because even if you don't look at it that way yet, when you have the need to sort of like get rid of something that's inside you and you have a fear, that means it doesn't belong to you. So that's the first good news. It's not aligned or like true to who you are as a person. The only way ending up alone could be something that belongs to you would be if you weren't fearful of it, and that was like your genuine authentic self asking for that. So since it's not, carrying this fear around not ending up with what you want, yeah, it doesn't belong to you, and that's the first part. So from a little bit of a spiritual perspective, and from just like the big belief systems that we pick up from like a whole and society, we are spiritual beings. We are aware of ourselves, and we can guide ourselves consciously and also reprogram our subconscious, which, thank God for that. But we all have a little fragment of consciousness inside us, and then we're born into this body. And when you are born, you're essentially born just, perfect, clean slate, and born as who you truly are, which is love. And then as you grow up, depending on your caregivers, your experiences, emotionally charged memories, how things sort of like turn out for you, and also like who you are, like on a actually a base level. Did I mention caregivers? Like how your caregivers give their belief systems to you, what they tell you about you, how you interpret events, which are actually maybe not that bad to begin with, but you have internalized it differently to mean something about you. Then there are also the way society is built, the limiting beliefs that we pick up on just because of like how the systems that we are in is structured. So there are many ways to pick up on limiting beliefs, and the beliefs around aging as a woman. I mean, anyone, but as a woman, I get it, because there is an entire system built to cage you in this belief that you are going to expire as a woman. And then on top of that, a lot of like hurt, insecure, don't even want to say toxic. Maybe at some point I'll adopt that phrase, but I think hurt and insecure is a great term. Hurt and insecure men use it also to cage you with fear because it works. And then like on a society base, like even the things that are sort of like made to like help women and make us feel empowered and good, like skincare and makeup, a lot of it centers around like looking younger, looking youthful. So it's definitely working. Like this fear is it's working, and many people live their lives according to it. So personally, maybe that helps to hear this, but I don't have any fears around aging. I simply just don't live that way. I don't live with it. I mean, I'm gonna age just like you, but I'm not fearful of that fact. It doesn't belong to me. I never picked up on that fear. So first of all, and I know that you know this, but I'm gonna say it anyway, aging is a privilege. We all have to age. There's no way around it. In fact, the only way around it is a really sad alternative. So aging is a privilege, but even though you know that, you still have adopted a fear around it. So I know that just saying that aging is a privilege is definitely not enough. We still have to do the work to undo these limiting beliefs. Again, there are so many sub-beliefs pertaining to this, and expiring as a woman, it's about losing your beauty and feeling like that is the thing that makes you worthy. Like that's also what you believe. And then wanting to have children and knowing that your fertility is gonna run out, stuff like that. That's probably a big one, because that is ultimately the cold hard truth, is that fertility doesn't last forever, especially not in women. But on top of that, it's more sort of like a feeling of like expiring or ending up alone that I'm really gonna touch on right now. Personally, I don't have any fear around aging. I don't know if that helps to. Certainly, aging will come with some consequences, but it's just not something that I like make decisions from in a way, or like feel insecure or fearful of. So it's definitely possible not to live that way, and that is sort of like the goal here. You cannot not age, but you can live comfortably with aging. So that's the goal. There are people who say that women expire, which is like a rhetoric that is just like flowing around in the atmosphere, and especially on the internet. I want you to know that anything which is like a projection of pain comes from someone who is currently in their own lovelessness. Like when people, let's just take as an example, it's a man on the internet who comments on like a video of a woman saying that she's gonna expire. Someone who says that, they are afraid of not being chosen themselves. They are afraid of ending up alone, and putting that fear onto you, one, makes them feel better because misery loves company, but also two, it's sort of supposed to create this fear, which is working, this fear in you to lower your standards and give yourself to someone who doesn't deserve you. And they don't deserve you, because anyone who treats anyone with any type of abuse do not deserve the person that they are abusing. Men who are in that frame of mind, unfortunately, don't deserve the love of a woman that they treat that way. So the thing is that we do really truly manifest everything in our lives. Like everything we believe acts as like a filter from which we see the entire world, and we'll be unable to see things that give us like good opportunities if that's just like not what we believe for ourselves. So men who, it's actually really sad, a lot of channels like to give men shit, and I get it, but we are all sort of living in this clusterfuck of limiting beliefs right now, where there's also a lot of scarcity for men who sort of just feels like they're being left out, there's no women for them, stuff like that, which is a really sad place to be. But the unfortunate truth of that is that the loveless will always go manifest their own lovelessness. Only the loving find love, and they never have to seek for it. So men who project stuff like that onto women, unfortunately, are manifesting their own loveless lives by hurting the very thing that would probably, give them some love in their lives. So it's really quite a sad place to be. But just like there's a consciousness of fear of aging that you can tap into, where it's almost like a hell that you enter with everyone who sort of like buys into that, like whether it's hurt men or afraid women, everyone who buys into this like circle, like you can go live there, which is what you're doing if you're fearful of aging. You can go live in this circle of consciousness where aging is a huge problem, which is going to end you up alone. But it's not true. Like everyone who's participating in this fear and in this circle, they would see that if they can step out of that fear, they could just live without that fear. And most likely, there are other things in life to determine that, but most likely, just stepping out of the things that we think prevents us from getting love is the very thing that will make love manifest in our life. And when I say manifest, it basically just means that once you have this veil of perception that there are things that hinders love in your life removed, you will start seeing love all over. Like the loving always go manifest love. They never have to seek for it. It just happens. And also when you live with love in your life, like true, like when you live outside of that fear, you just live with love. The times when love is not in your life, or like romantic love is still in your life because it's on the inside. So it's already around within you once it's not around in the outside world, and then it just manifests completely naturally. So that is the place that we're hoping to get to. So when it comes to aging pertaining to all of this and there are, let's leave children outside of this because the fertility is also, there's so much tied to that. But let's just say that it's the fear of like ending up alone. There are two scenarios. You're either gonna get older and end up alone, or you're gonna get older and find the love of your life and have a great relationship. And there are currently, right now, people living out both scenarios. Some people are on their own and have aged a bit, and some people are not on their own. And obviously you want to be the second version. And that's sort of like the two paths that you can take. But like when you are fearful of ending up alone, you're not really manifesting ending up alone. You're more just like blocking the fact that there is an abundance of situations out there and storylines out there where love is all around you and you're going to find it. Like, it's only the fear that is the veil that sort of like blocks your perception and makes you live every waking moment with this like internalized, ingrained fear, which is with you at every point in time. And then especially whenever you think about love, that is what comes to mind. It's not a very loving place to be. So everyone is projecting their fears onto each other. You know, you meet a really great guy, you're afraid of ending up alone, you're gonna project that fear onto him. But there are simply, again, if we look at the circle of this consciousness, there are simply people over here who do not live in this fear of ending up alone. And I think now we're going to touch a little bit about like expiring as a woman. Yes, at some point our fertility runs out, but let's look at it from a perspective of love instead. So I know right now we live in an age of like a lot of beauty, a lot of like reality TV shows, just like a lot of really bad like pop culture, which makes us buy into a lot of these like limiting beliefs. But people are people, and there are hurt, insecure people who are not able to manifest love in their own lives right now at all times. But there are also people who don't live like that, who are able to live in love, and those people find love at all ages. Like, there are people who meet the love of their life at 18, 24, 30, 32, 35, 38, 40, 50, 60. Sometimes this is also an interesting sort of story that plays out for some. You know, some people do start a relationship quite young, and then because that's what they're supposed to do, you know, they don't really awaken to what they're doing is not right for them until they're like 50, and then they start all over, spend a decade unlearning everything that they had reinforced with evidence throughout their entire like 5 decades long life, and then they have to start all over. I mean, start all over is not the right way to put it either. I'm just saying that there are so many different ways that this plays out, and then, you know, they spend a decade healing, and then they find the love of their life at 60, and then people will always say like if they can do it all over again, they totally would, because, you know, they end up with the right person. So love will manifest in your life if you sort of just like let yourself exist in love and recognize that this cycle of like being afraid of aging, you don't have to fix being afraid of aging. You sort of have to leave the fear. It's always going to be there, but you have to leave and enter another circle of consciousness where aging is not a factor. And there are certainly things that you can and have to do to aid yourself in letting go of this belief. That is what it is about, you know, reprogramming yourself. So there are affirmations you can do. You can like journaling is definitely the best one. You need to be able to let go of the limiting beliefs so you can live over here. Because the thing is, like, even though that there is a circle of consciousness around the fear of aging, and there's a circle of it's not even a circle of consciousness. It's honestly, there is a circle of consciousness, a cage of consciousness of fear around aging, and then there's those who live outside of the cage and are just like free of that. The problem about reprogramming something new, so like for example not being afraid of aging, is that can't really be done. You can only let go of the fear of aging, and you can certainly help yourself with affirmations, but whenever you don't have a fear, you just sort of lack the fear. You don't really have like a strong inner narrative about not being fearful of aging. Like, when you have a limiting belief, it will come up with like a lot of insecurities, a lot of thinking, a lot of rambling on in your mind, where once you drop a fear, you just don't really have an internal dialogue about that fear at all anymore. You just know you'll be okay. You just know that you are inherently valuable as a woman, regardless of age. And actually, that was what I was going to say. So there are hurt, insecure men who want you to feel like you're going to expire. But those are the same men who at 40 and 50 are still going to be alone themselves, and still are going to be in so much pain because they haven't, I mean, I hope at some point a lot of them will heal before that. And I think there's a good chance. There are some really great male and masculinity teachers out there right now, which are helping men heal their wounds, just like you're here with me right now. So there's a big movement movement right now of people who are letting go of like these limiting beliefs and are no longer projecting their hurt onto others, but are like taking care of it internally so that they can end up with someone who's also like mainly healed. And those are the people who are not afraid of aging, because, you know, we're all born into this like consciousness, into all of these limiting beliefs. You're here right now trying to unlearn everything you've learned, which is kudos to you. You've made it this far. And kudos to me. I made it this far. We're born into this sort of like almost degenerate world in some ways, and then we have had to like and love this world in many ways as well, even though it's also a world filled with love. You know, there are so many veils that we are given. So we spend so much time on learning that, and as we unlearn that, love will manifest. Like the love that we are ready for will come. But the fear of expiring is it never happens. People don't expire, men don't expire. Even should you ever come to a place where like you are no longer fertile, but you still have so much love to give, like at that point, once you're no longer fearful, you come to a place of love. I mean, that's the aim. And even should you not be able to like have your own biological children at that age, you will find other ways to like have love. And there will be loads of men who are just completely regular people like us, who aren't like enmeshed in like really bad behavior, or like some of them will have healed, and all we really want is just like love. And the love you offer others as a woman, especially the more that you heal, but always, you know, there's always men trying to like harness our gifts, especially to like, I feel like this is the dangerous one in the modern world. It's a lot of it is to sustain and feed their egos. You know, they harness energy from women, often in by sex, and leave us hurt. And at the end of the day, you know, it's really men's job as the leaders to not do that, because as women we are a lot more like affectionate, and this might offend someone, but a little bit naive in some sense, because if we weren't, we wouldn't be like putting ourselves up to be like hurt and taken advantage of by men who has done nothing to show that they respect us. So men don't respect us, but that is the job of men, to be better leaders and learn to respect women. And as women, our jobs is to decide who can gain access to us, and to not let men who doesn't appreciate us gain access to us. And if you do that, by the way, that is one of the things that sustain your fear. It's your exchanging respect for you with a moment of connection to feel like you have a shot at love, which that's not love. You can never be loved in a situation where that wasn't there to begin with, to be honest. Women don't expire. We have so much worth. We bring so much energy. We bring so much, honestly, in like a spiritual world where again, like men harness our gifts to sustain their egos. Like that's because we have something really special, and we never stop to have that. We are gonna look like ourselves and beautiful at any age, also with wrinkles. Like when you're 50 or 60 or 70, you're still gonna be you with wrinkles. The only thing you're required is to like take care of yourself, groom yourself, keep yourself good looking. And once you're like 65, let's say that you're single again, or like whatever, like there's gonna be some hot ass 70-year-old man who just thinks that you're that hot younger woman. You know, like we're always gonna be young women to older men. And I know there's a whole like rhetoric around like, you know, men wanting much younger women, but people who want love, like true love, they will, a true connection, they usually find it in people who are a little bit closer to their own like life experience and stuff like that. And again, like some men don't, some men will, that's also always the case. Some men will aim to have a much younger like woman or wife, and honestly, like you pick someone with a lack of discernment and experience, and they do have that, because otherwise they just don't end up with a man like that. Sorry, that's really sad, but it's just not your problem. That's the thing, that's sad. There are men who like at 50, you know, they will want a 22-year-old wife, and that story will play out. And a lot of men will want that, but will never be able to get that, because a woman in her early 20s, like that's been researched again and again and again, like women want men their own ages. They don't want some like 50-year-old man just because he's rich. Again, there's also totally exceptions to that. That's the whole point. Like there are stories of any kind that anyone can tap into. You can tap into these big age gap relationships. You can tap into the fear that women are going to age, or you can tap into a completely regular story where you just move through life taking good care of yourself, and then at some point you're going to run into someone who does the same, who wants the love you offer and will offer it to you in return. And that, like, love knows no age. I feel like that's what that means. Like you can't expire. There's always going to be like a completely normal person out there looking for you. And the only reason you can't see that is because you have a fear that is like a veil. Yeah, acts like a filter through which you can't see it. Like, we are surrounded by people who all that they want, just like you, is love. Then of course, like, unfortunately, when we're very unhealed and we like project our hurt onto others, like entering at a union where like we are loved is like impossible if we do not believe we are worthy of it. Where once you believe you are worthy of it, you sort of like exit again this circle and you start like, just like living around the people who also believe that love is to be found. So don't grow bitter, don't grow in fear of the like from the vastly accepted and projected limiting beliefs. I know that they hurt, but they don't have to belong with you. There are two different scenarios playing out right now, and some people are still part of this circle. You should really be exiting it, because there's a whole world out here of people who don't walk around like feeling like other people expire. Good people are gonna seek and want for love always, no matter the ages. Our generation of men grow older with us. They grow smarter with us. More men our generation wake up to healing. They get put into an algorithm of like great masculinity teachers. They take responsibility for their own boy and they reparent him and become a man who's worthy of a woman who has done something similar. So all of that is like coming from you. The only thing that can make you expire, if I can even put it like that, is living the life in fear, which is the very thing that repels love from you. And then you do that enough time has gone by, that all of a sudden you're 100 years old and haven't had love, which, I mean, that's not going to happen, because you have a whole lifetime to figure this out. And you're already here. Like, you are here right now. You're going to figure this out. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that for today. This was so rambling. I hope someone took something out of this. I feel like I should have said more. There are other points I could have made. I really tried my best. I'll talk to you next time.